Toxic relationships and how to break free from a toxic relationship. That is exactly what I'll be taking you through in today's episode. So welcome. If it's your first time, please remember to subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, karibu tena. Thank you and be blessed. And I hope you're ready for today's discussion. Karibuni. Let me get right into it and start by saying that a lot of women are currently trapped, and not just women. Actually, toxicity knows no gender. And I know so many men as well as women who are dealing with toxicity and trying to find a way out. And I get so many women in the DMs asking me, Jacinta, how were you able to do it? How did you do it? How do I even navigate this? And the reason why I opted to become a toxic relationship coach is because I wanted to be that person who I looked for years back, who would help me to hold my hand, to help me to navigate through this scenario that I found myself in. So first of all, if you're seated there, just know that it's not your fault. Sometimes life deals you with something that you never anticipated or you never even got ready for. But the good news is that there is hope and that there is help. There's somebody somewhere who is going through what you're going through right now and has been able to overcome it. And if that is what you're going through, then you're in the right place. And if it's not you, but you know somebody who is going through this, please share this video with them. Let them learn how they can collect themselves from the situation that they're at. So I'll be looking down. Then some notes that I've taken, they're on my phone. So if you see me looking down, don't wonder what is she looking at. I'm just looking at my phone, some little notes that I wrote just to be able to flow on this conversation. So I will go right into the very first thing, which are some of the signs of a toxic relationship, because I get asked a lot about this. And yes, there are signs that are staring at you, like when somebody is physically abusive towards you or emotionally or verbally abusive towards you. But sometimes it's very subtle that you don't even realize that you're in one. And today I'm going to be telling you about those subtle signs that you have never or even might never even have imagined. And maybe you're seated there and you're asking yourself, how do I know whether I am in one? So let me just get to the small basics of how it even looks like. If you ever find yourself seated there and saying to yourself that I wish we could go back to the good old days, I wish that things could go back to the way they used to be. Already you're settling for less. Already you're hoping and praying that things become better. Now, what I would want to ask you is, are you going to just sit around and actually hope against odds? Because it's against you. It's not an action that you can do or there's nothing you can do about it right now. The only thing you can do is to hope and pray that this person actually changes. So are you willing to take that risk of just staying and hoping? So if you ever find yourself overworking, if you ever find yourself asking and looking and remembering, reminiscing and hoping that things might go back to the way they used to be, already you're taking the bare minimum and what you're in is not a healthy relationship. The other thing is, if you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly being criticized. What do I mean by that? Criticism is in a way where nobody will ever see something good that you're doing. They'll always try and make it seem like whatever you're doing is not right. You're dressed the way Jacinta is dressed today, and I'm looking at myself thinking that I look very good. I ask my partner, how am I looking? And they tell you, couldn't you have put on a white dress? I ask, how is my makeup? I think you should be more natural. You ask something about how are my nails? They will be better without the nail polish. Every single thing you say is always shot down. And this even comes in terms of even your character as a person. They start saying you talk too much, so you start pulling yourself down, you're trying to crumble down. Maybe you are an outgoing person and they criticize you for that, or maybe you are always with your family members and because you love them and you enjoy spending time with them or your friends, but they are always trying to make you feel very bad for doing that. That is another huge and another red flag for you to look out for. So like I said in the beginning, it's not always the big and obvious things. Sometimes it can be the subtle signs, things that you might never believe or you might never even have heard, such as those. I'll go on to the very next point, which is I think the fourth, I'm not even keeping count, which is arguments. Arguments are very healthy and they are very normal in every single relationship. But what differs here between a healthy and an unhealthy one is the intensity and the frequency. How bad do your arguments get in a relationship? And how often do you find yourself arguing in this relationship? In an unhealthy relationship, the arguments become so frequent that you can't even remember the last time you had any peace in your life. You're even looking forward to a time where your life was peaceful, where it was a bit quiet, because it's been so chaotic and the arguments have become so frequent that slowly by slowly the smile that you had is now only just feels like a luxury once more. So if you're in such a relationship, it's time for you to think and really think hard about the kind of relationship you're in. And the final point, this is just a tip of the iceberg. I'm just going to give some little five, there are five. The last one that I'm going to give, subtle signs, is being taken advantage of. How do you feel taken advantage of? If you're the one who is always doing the work in this relationship, you'll feel taken advantage of. If you're the one who is always trying to make this relationship work, somebody betraying your trust, somebody betraying everything that is dear for you, maybe your values, who you are as a person, by the end of the day, if you ever feel like you're taken advantage of in a relationship, you need to look out and ask yourself, am I really in a healthy relationship? Because apparently you're not. So I will not even go into very many signs because there's so many signs of toxicity. These are just very few of the whole bunch, but downright it comes to how do you feel in your heart, especially for women. And I'm hoping that if I'm talking to you right now, you're a woman, because I normally base all my teachings and my talks to women. I'm hoping that you can be able to come back to your body, to your intuition, to how you feel, because at the end of the day, your body always knows. The person that you're with, you can always tell, even before, and even when you're dating, listen to yourself, listen to your intuition. That's a God-given gift that you have. It can always tell, and you can always tell if you're with the right person or if things are even working out or not. You always know. That's why you hear that a woman will always live emotionally in her head even before she walks out physically, because you always know. So listen to yourself. The other thing that I'd like to talk about are three ways that most women deal with toxic relationships. So let's say you're like me, you found yourself in a toxic relationship. Women will most often deal with it three ways, or they will handle the whole situation three ways. One, you'll find a different sort of person. Woman, let's just call her woman A. Woman A might decide to deal with it. How does woman A deal with a toxic relationship? Woman A will decide that, okay, my partner or my husband or my boyfriend is cheating on me. I'm also going to get a side guy on the side. How about if you can beat them, join them? That's what they say, right? Well, that is one way of handling a toxic relationship. You decide, I'm going to deal with it, or I'm going to deal with him. You have even had where people have planned to have their spouses taken out of the picture completely. Why? Because they were cheating, or maybe they were very abusive towards them. You can, I don't know where you fall in. So I'll be talking about woman A, B, and C. So woman A decides to deal with it by actually joining them or just taking care of business. Then there is woman B. Woman B decides, I'm going to live with it. So how do I live with it? You decide you're going to live in the same house. No one ever has to know what happens behind closed doors. When you walk into this house, it's you go to your room, I go to my room. On Sunday, all of us, the kids included, let's go to church, let's go to family gatherings, and we are very okay. We put up this united front, but behind closed doors, nobody knows. Nobody will ever know the horror and the disunity in that entire family. And people have lived in such situations, both men and women. You hear like it's becoming so common for people to be in unhappy reunions. Why? Because they have decided to live with it. That's woman B or person B. And there is person C. Who is person C? Person C is person like Jacinta. Jacinta decides, you know what? I'm not going to handle this. I'm not going to live with this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to choose me. And in choosing me, I'm going to distance myself from such a setup and decide that this is my life. And if I do not like it, I'm not a tree, I'm not a mountain, I can move. So what do I decide to do? I decide to just leave the toxic relationship and search for my own peace of mind, as well as just a better future for myself. Decide that whatever has happened has happened. I take out the good with me, the bad I decide to take the lessons in it, and I decide I am done with this, I deserve better, I know my worth, and I pack up and decide I'm going to look for another second chance in life, because life gives you chances. And every single day of your life, so many people are used to living through factory setting, whereby you always know, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up, I take my phone from my bedside stand, I go to Facebook, I go to TikTok, and then I will decide, okay, let me pray, or you decide to just go out, take a bathroom break, shower, the same, even tomorrow, repeat the same. It's so easy to live on factory setting or autopilot mode, but at the same time, it's difficult to start reprogramming yourself and change, but it is through the unknown where you grow. If you have always done, we always know 1 + 1 is equals to 2. That is the very same thing. It also applies to the very same thing in your life. If you have been doing the very same thing and you have been in this relationship with this person, you don't expect that you'll do the very same thing and that this person is going to change overnight, or that your life is going to change. But what if you decided, I'm going to do 1 + 2 to get 3? So what do? I decide I'm going to make a change. I'm going to take that leap of faith. So if you're like me, person 3, then we can go on from here. If you're the other people, I think this is where you drop off. But if you're person 3, then karibu, let's go on with the journey. So what are some of the things that you need to consider before this is now the actual part of I've decided I'm done with this. Now, where do I start? What is the roadmap? Or where do I pick up? I say that the most important things, there's so many factors to consider. You have the children, you have what society will say, but at the end of the day, you as a woman, you need to consider that you are a girl first. You are the girl inside you first, and then you're the mother and the friend or the daughter and every other person who is there for you. So what do? You need to look at yourself, think, how will I handle this? The first thing that you need to consider are your finances. And why do I say finances are huge? Because I know from my DMs and from all the women that I've worked with that finances are the leading cause of why most women are trapped in toxic relationships. Why? Because you'll always find that in most abusive relationships, the dynamics are very different. One person has the power, and mostly the person with the money has more power in this case. So what does that mean? If you're the woman, and this is the choice that you've decided to take, if you don't have the money, start saving. I'm talking to this woman now who is still in this relationship, who is working now towards an exit plan. Start saving. If the other way is that you have a job, but you feel like if I left today, it would not be enough for me, get a complementary job, or what people call a side hustle. Or you can decide, I don't have a job, I don't have a formal education, let me start a new skill. And I have spoken about this even in a previous video, and if you have not watched it, please go back and watch a video where I did, and it was talking about the skills that you can learn without actually going to school. Learn a skill, go for it. And if you have joint accounts, you and your partner, how about opening an account that is separate from the one that your partner knows and starting to save your own money? Why? There is no reason as to why you will say that I'm staying here simply because I'm financially dependent on him. There's so many other ways for you to get your financial independence. And I'm hoping that these 4 ways can help. And if you have other ways, please feel free to comment below and just tell me, hey, Jacinta, I think you've left out on this one, because you never know who is watching. All these lessons are very vital, very important, and I'd really appreciate that. The second thing that you really need to consider is a support system. What does even a support system entail? A support system entails family, friends, people who will not just give you advice from the filter of their wounds. What do I mean by the filter of their wounds? Most people will give you advice depending on their past experiences. Most women. And I know I have had this even in my own experience, whereby so many told me, stick by, just stay. Because either they tried and it was very hard for them, or they have seen somebody who has tried and they ended up getting from bad to worse. So how about getting people who will advise you from a neutral point? If you feel like no one in your family or your friends has the capacity to actually advise you on that, get a therapist or get a coach like me, somebody who has walked through this. Because during this time, it's going to be very emotional and mentally draining, and the people that you surround yourself with will determine if you either walk in this gracefully, through this gracefully, or if you're going to fall back from where you came from, or even worse. So that is a very vital point to consider, a support system. The third point that I would really want you to consider is your mental well-being, and this goes hand in hand with the support system. Your mental well-being will take a toll, especially when you decide to take such a huge step. I can imagine if you've been in this relationship for 5, 10, 15 years, it's not easy to just pack your bags and leave. It's not easy to just say, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm gone. No, eventually it will take a toll on you. Either way, no matter how good things might look, from my standpoint, saying them. So what do? How about starting baby steps, like just journaling your emotions, journaling your journey a day at a time? Just say, today, this and this happened, or this is how I feel. Get in touch with your emotions, because something else that happens about toxic relationships is that when the pain is too much, or when all these things are going on, we tend to numb the pain. You'll even hear somebody say, I don't feel anything anymore. Even if they don't come, even if they hurt me, how I don't feel the pain anymore. I don't have those emotions anymore. Everybody feels. The only difference is that you have chosen to numb them. And you cannot just numb one side of the emotion. You are going to numb both the good and the bad. So if you can't feel the bad, you also cannot enjoy the good emotions. So how about just starting baby steps? I remember I had to learn how to feel emotions again. Identifying an emotion and being able to actually describe it. That was a huge, huge aspect of my healing for me. So get a support system. Get your mental health in place or in check. You can still try things like going to the gym or even taking a walk. Just clear your mind, get to think. Live in the moment, ground yourself. Also, you can have a therapist, somebody that you can talk to, or a coach, because your mind is going to be all over the place. You don't even know whether what you're doing. Sometimes you get to that point in your life where you are wondering, am I going forward or am I going backward? You need someone to talk to. You need to be in a good space mentally, and especially if you have kids who are looking up to you, because they need to see your strength. They need to see you put together. I know people argue about this. Some say that it is important for them to see you fall apart, but I say it depends. It depends on the age of the kids. You just have to be strong going through this, because no change is easy. And I say this having gone through it and going through it every single day. It's not easy, but you can do it. Finally, the fourth point that I would really want you to look into is doing the inner work. What is inner work? Inner work are things like looking into your childhood traumas, asking yourself, which parts of me made me attract an unhealthy partner. And especially if you're coming from patterns of dating an unhealthy man, leaving them, ending up with another one, just a different face, because it's very common. Ask yourself, what's going on? You need to identify which parts of you are actually, what are you even looking for? Look at your boundaries. Most of the time, most abused people, they either have shaky to zero boundaries. And which are these boundaries? Ask yourself, what are my non-negotiables? My non-negotiables are where I say, if he touches me, I'm out. If he cheats on me, I'm out. But you'll find that if you're in an abusive or toxic relationship, most of the time, you have zero to very shaky boundaries. So they keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them until you don't have anything that you cannot take. You're just there. You have gone through it all, the physical abuse, the cheating, everything. You've gone through it. So how about checking into your boundaries as well as your values? What do you value in a relationship? What are your priorities? Because maybe what you value is very different from what your partner even values. So there's even an issue of compatibility. So the inner work will help you have a very clear vision of what you want, even when it comes to you moving on to your next partner. And even you'll have the, you'll have the strength to even say and to even stand before people and say, you know what, this is not for me. Why? Because I know what I want. You already know what you want. So this was a revision of a masterclass that I had in the previous week or so. And the reason why I just wanted to touch on this is because so many women in that class told me that they were really struggling with this, and they reached out, and that is why I felt the need to do this masterclass. So just in case you were not able to join the masterclass, this is just a recap of what we talked about. And if you're seated there and you're saying, this is me, this is how I want, I would want to be person number 3, who is like Jacinta, I need help, I'm not happy, I'm in a relationship that no longer serves me. How about just commenting below, or just getting to my social medias, my other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok, and DMing me, telling me that you need help and that you need me to hold your hand through this journey. It's one thing to just say it, it's one thing to point it out, but having somebody to hold your hand will make a whole entire difference. So if 2024 is the year that you want change, if 2024 on your bucket list, you want to be happy once more, you want to enjoy the little luxuries, just like sleeping soundly, because I know that's something that most women in toxic relationships don't enjoy. If you're done having the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks, and you feel like this year I don't want to have them anymore, if you feel like this year I just want to be able to get a healthy partner, I'm done choosing patterns, all these patterns, and choosing one unhealthy partner after the other, and that you're now ready to get into something healthy, then you need to talk to me, DM me, tell me that I'm ready, and we will walk this road together. We will find a way to make things a bit different from the way they used to be. 1 + 1 will always be 2. So how about we do 1 + 2 and see how it goes, right? So thank you very much. See you in the next video. I'm very happy to have had this time with you, and I'm really, really rooting for you, wherever you are, if you're watching this video. And I'm telling you that you really have it inside you. You just don't know how amazing you are. It's just that you're concentrating on the other person, which can sometimes make you, see the way they say, when one door closes, another one, or a window opens. That is the very same exact thing. You're so busy concentrating on this door that has your toxic partner that it drains you, or it blocks you from even seeing the potential that you have, which is the other window. So if you're ready to walk through that, the next window, the window of the unknown, and remember, it is in the unknown where we grow. Please DM me, talk to me, and let's work on this together. So until next time, bye-bye.